Last year, Braylon, Ryan Day said, the Ohio State head coach, 5 years from now, you will not recognize the college football world. This is a money move. The day of the college athlete is over.
If it goes through, and if this is a real thing, which it looks like it could be, those are great teams for the Big Ten.
This would really make the Big Ten a national conference. What you have with the Big Ten conference now is something that no other conference can compete with. Top 5 media markets in the country, you own them all.
I don't care about none of that, because the Big Ten reigning, defending champ is the University of Michigan.
About 30 minutes ago, breaking news, and this is really incredible news. Last year, Braylon, Ryan Day said, the Ohio State head coach, 5 years from now, you will not recognize the college football world. Right. And if this report is true, and there's a lot more in motion, but according to this John Wilner, by the way, let me just read you some of his credentials, if I could. This is the one thing I have not printed out. But here's what he says. USC and UCLA planning to leave for the Big Ten as early as 2024. The move has not been finalized just yet. But Braylon, this is incredibly shocking news. John Wilner, Pac-12 hotline syndicated for KSL.com, Seattle Times, Sports, Oregon Live, LA Daily News. So he's syndicated all over the place.
So, two things. One, I don't understand why USC and UCLA will put themselves in a situation to travel 4 hours for away games. I believe the closest the closest team will be Nebraska. I think Nebraska's probably around 2 hours and 45 minutes outside of LA. I don't understand that move. Move two. It sucks for Michigan. And you know why that is? Michigan hasn't won on the West Coast since 1990. We lost to Oregon my junior year. We lost to USC my junior year. We lost to Texas on the West Coast my senior year. Michigan doesn't typically win on the West Coast. But with that being said, if it goes through, and if this is a real thing, which it looks like it could be, those are great teams for the Big Ten, man. Like, that swings the pendulum. I mean, Big Ten's already, I think, top to bottom, equal with the SEC. Mm-hmm. Now, we know that Alabama and Georgia are the staples, but you want to go top to bottom, I think Big Ten is equal, if not better. You add USC and add UCLA, it's hands down the best division or the best conference in college football.
Tom Mazaway with us as well. Good afternoon to you, Maz.
Hey, buddy. It's another team Michigan can't beat now. So now it's Ohio State and USC, I guess. So we got our two big dogs, and the AC and the SEC's got their big four dogs, I guess.
Look, Darren Ravel reporting that the Big Ten athletic directors still don't even know about this, but usually they're not in on a lot of these negotiations and things like that. It's the college presidents that really take this under their wing, and this much too. This would really make the Big Ten a national conference,
coast to coast.
They expanded to New York with Rutgers,
Jersey.
Maryland, East Coast, New York, New Jersey area. The New York market, is that fair to say?
Yeah, of course. I grew up in Jersey, but I consider myself a New York guy.
Okay, fair enough. But you now go from New York to California, New Jersey to California.
Jersey Shore, baby.
I love it. Now you get more eyes on the Big Ten. Michigan State now gets more eyes. I think one of the big things that we talk about, we'll get into them as well. But you talk about, is Michigan State a national team? Last year, I think Michigan State took that step to become a national team with Tuck and K9. K9 was up for Heisman, should have been in New York, wasn't in New York, but they took a step. Now, if you see USC joins the conference, now you're playing games out there on Fox West Coast, Pac-12 now. Well, it used to be Pac, but Fox West Coast. You're selling merch in the stores out there. Now you got to bring some merch from UCLA and USC into Michigan, into Pennsylvania, into Illinois. So I think that you're right. It takes us all the way from west to east and back again.
You got the highest paid team in the country in USC playing here in the Big Ten, and they got their own plane, so I guess it really doesn't matter what the hell they do.
And you know what else you have if you're the Big Ten?
Money.
You know, when Texas and Oklahoma went to the SEC, and they're moving to the SEC, that
Next
really
year.
kind of sent shockwaves. But what you have with the Big Ten Conference now is something that no other conference can compete with. You ready for this? New York, Los Angeles,
Media markets.
Chicago, Philadelphia, and D.C.
Top 5 media markets in the country.
Top 5 media markets in the country. You own them all. For a lot of different reasons, Fox NFL always outrates CBS NFL.
Yeah.
Why? Not because the teams are better. It's because the biggest media markets in the country,
Very true.
there are more of them in the NFC than in the AFC. This is a money move. The day of the college athlete is over.
Oh.
The scholar athlete.
Yeah.
That's done.
And you know what? It's funny that you say that because I remember growing up, I was always an NFC guy. Like, obviously, I live in Detroit.
Me too.
So, I mean, you know, you live in Detroit, you're in New York, New Jersey. So, obviously, we're NFC teams. But with that being said, now that you say that, it makes more sense. The NFC were always in the big markets. You got Chicago, like you said. You got the Giants, you know what I'm saying? You got the big teams, the big market. You had the Rams back in the day when I was growing up. So it's fun.
Both St. Louis and Los Angeles.
Both St. Louis and Los Angeles. Los Angeles is the one I was thinking of.
Washington.
Washington, D.C.
Dallas.
The Commanders, the Dallas Cowboys. Like, those are the big media markets. What do you have in the
Philadelphia.
AFC? Buffalo Bills
You
in
have
that
the-
media market.
Exactly.
The Jacksonville Jaguars.
You have
the
the
Kansas
Jets.
City Chiefs.
You have the
Yep.
Jets and the Patriots. And that's it.
Yeah.
You have the Jets and the Patriots.
Denver, and even Denver's like,
Yeah.
it's
Denver's-
big, but
yeah.
it's not big.
It's mountain time.
It's
Not
true.
it's
Mountain West.
not a top 6, top 8,
Hold on,
top
man. You
10.
know what? I gotta take a step back, man. You know, I came on the show today. I got my nice jacket on, my nice blazer.
look good
and nobody
today, Brandon.
commented on it. Man.
Well, you look good.
You hurt my feelings.
You look absolutely fantastic.
I'm sensitive
today.
about my jacket.
Well, you're not the only people that are sensitive around here, but well, not maybe around here, but no, we're going to get to that in just a second.
You like
but
what I did there,
I
right?
do like what you did there. That was smooth. I'm not sure where this is going, and I'm not sure how to feel about this as a college football fan, other than, you know, I hate what's happening to the sport. I really do.
You don't recognize it.
Well, I don't recognize it, but and I always felt like college athletes should be paid something. I did not anticipate they make millions of dollars like they are now. An absolute free-for-all for where you want to go, when you want to go, how much you
Rounders.
want to make. I just don't like it. I don't like USC and UCLA being in the Big Ten. And not just because I don't think Michigan can compete with USC. And I don't think Michigan can compete with USC. And I don't think Michigan can compete with Ohio State or, heaven forbid,
No.
to a lesser extent, Michigan State, unless they get this NIL situation figured out. Until or unless they want to join the party, or until or unless
Yeah.
the NCAA wants to regulate this stuff, which nobody thinks they have the ability to or the want to.
Even if they regulate
this
it,
could
Ryan,
go really.
then the cheating will happen.
This
Now-
could go south for Michigan very fast.
I got to push back on the USC thing. I think, you know, we got to see what Lincoln Riley does at USC. Like, USC has they just been a team over the past 8 years. Now, they had one good year with the Sam Darnold, and the Penn State game was a really good game. Saquon Barkley and Sam Darnold. Outside of that, USC hasn't done anything special. So before I say I don't think we can compete, I got to see what Lincoln Riley does with all this money that he spent. I got to see how he constructs that team and puts it together chemistry-wise with Caleb Williams, the quarterback, with Jordan Addison, and some of the other transfer portal moves that they've made. Because right now, I don't care about none of that, because the Big Ten reigning, defending champ is the University of Michigan.
I didn't mean to cut you off before, but I do want to say,
Please.
even if they regulate it, then it's just going to go back to blue chips again.
Yeah.
So there's no controlling it anymore.
The cat's out of the bag.
It's out, man.
But here's a question,
It's gone.
Melvin.
You cannot put the toothpaste back in the tube.
over.
It's out. It's
just
over.
just
Shout out
eliminate
Anthony Brown on that
eliminate
one.
the conferences. It's over. It's over.
What?
It's north,
Did he
east,
say that?
bro. It's north, south, east, and west. Those are your conferences. It's over.
So where do we go from here? Like, what?
North, south, east, and west.
Okay, now where do we go from here? Like, realistically, like what does a course correction look like for Ryan Romani as it relates to the NCAA college football?
I think ultimately you have 64 teams in college football. that form their own league.
Right.
And those players can make as much money as they want. You pay them like pros.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'd have to do a little bit more examination on that, Braylon. But I do think you're setting up for a secession almost of Power 5 conference teams and everybody else.
I'm gonna ask another dumb question. Like now that you can get paid without having to put forth a service, because Jordan Addison, wide receiver, Biletnikoff winner that just went to USC, he got 3.5 without putting a service on the table. Like he basically was paid like a professional football player. With that being said, are they gonna next get rid of eligibility? Can you play in college for 8 years as long as you're taking classes? Is that the next move? Because since you're paying players, it's no more an amateur status. Who's to say eligibility-wise? Oh, you know what? Well, I did 4 years. Well, I didn't graduate yet, so I'm taking more classes. Here's a 5th year. You know what? Now I'm in grad school. Is that the next move? Is eligibility? Guys stay in college for 7, 8 years?
That's USFL and XFL.
Heather Dinich says, can confirm reports USC and UCLA are considering leaving Pac-12 for Big Ten. There is still a formal notification process. The Pac-12 was blindsided. Well, the Pac-12 just simply cannot compete with those media markets, and that's what this is all about. Television markets, media markets, revenue, and the Big Ten's got a lot of money, and they got more money than the SEC's got. Actually, you add Texas and Oklahoma, and you might be on a level playing field.
And you're right about that, because I remember when I was in school, USC was that deal. USC and Miami were the teams. Going back to USC, USC had Reggie Bush. USC had Lindell White. They had Mike Williams. They had Carson Palmer. Then they had Matt Leinart. They were the truth. Shoot, we drafted Sean Cody in the first round. The Detroit Lions did, USC D tackle. But guess what? Nobody was watching their games because they come on at weird times. Nobody's watching it. All you're watching at USC is highlights. You're waiting for ESPN or Fox to show you highlights. Now, you put them in the Big Ten. They're coming out here. Now you get to see USC in primetime slots. That's huge for USC, like you said.
Now, UCLA does not scare me as much as a Lincoln Riley USC-led team. I mean, you basically now have 2 Ohio States in your league. Yeah, you got 2 of them. It's not just enough to slay the Ohio State Dragon. You have to slay this UCLA behemoth that's rolling on by. So more on this. And what happens with Notre Dame? At what point will they have to seriously join a real conference?
They never will.
I don't know about that.
How about the rest of the Pac-12?
And what, aside from the Big Ten and SEC, what is the best conference at that point after that? Pac-12 fleeced, Big 12 fleeced, ACC fleeced. Where would you go?